In 1891, Howard Carter, an English archaeologist, became convinced that there was still an undiscovered tomb of Tutankhamun in Egypt. After about 5 years of searching, him and his team still hadn't found anything, and the search was almost called off. But Carter convinced the others to keep going. Finally, in 1922, they found something, steps that were hidden in the debris near the entrance to another tomb. And in 1923, Howard Carter opened the door to the final chamber of the tomb of Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings. King Tut was the son of Akhenaten. He changed his name from Tutankhaten to Tutankhamun, which means the living image of Amun. He ruled for about 10 years until his death when he was 19, and he was about 5 foot 8 inches tall. The tomb was smaller than that of tombs belonging to other kings. It started with 16 steps that led down to the first floor, behind which there was about a 17-meter-long passage that ends at the second door. From there is where the antechamber can be entered and gives access to 2 other doors. The right door leads to the burial chamber, and the room off the burial chamber was reserved for many treasures, along with the second room that was off the antechamber. Even though it was small, it still contained many different treasures in addition to the amazing pictures that covered the walls. There was a wide range of interesting items in the tomb, such as vases, statues, and many other things that had various purposes. One interesting item was a game table that was used to play all sorts of different games. There were also vases found, one of them being the unguent vase made of calcite that's shape symbolizes the unification of Upper and Lower Egypt. Another object is a casket with ivory inlays. There were several objects similar to this found that were meant to carry fabrics, small objects, and other things for the person in the afterlife. There were also canopic vases in the tomb. They were designed to hold the organs of the person after they were removed during preparation for the mummification process. The vases were often made of calcite and placed inside the chest in the tomb. One particularly interesting thing is that there are 2 trumpets found in the tomb, one made of silver and the other bronze. They were found in different parts of the tomb, but both were decorated with depictions of Egyptian gods. What makes this so interesting is that in 1939, both of the trumpets were played in a BBC radio broadcast for everyone to hear.
That neither trumpet is easy to sound, and this is particularly true of the copper instrument. The silver one will be heard. Now the copper trumpet.
In addition to those objects, there were several jewelry objects found along with the jewel box. The box shows a pharaoh in a chariot defeating the enemy armies. Among the jewelry that was found, there was a floral funeral collar. There was also a gorget decorated with a vulture. This neck ornament depicts the god associated with Upper Egypt. And a third object is a large necklace and breastplate that shows a cobra, baboon, and scarab beetle. The baboon was admired for its intelligence, and the scarab beetle god Khepera was believed to push the setting sun along the sky. Scarab amulets were often placed over the hearts of the mummified deceased. Then there is the sarcophagus, and what is probably the most thought of item when the name Tutankhamun is mentioned, the mask that was placed directly on the mummy. His sarcophagus was very large, measuring over 7 feet in length. There were then coffins layered inside. The middle coffin is made of wood and decorated with gold, while the inner coffin is made of gold.
And there, filling the entire area within, stood an immense yellow quartzite sarcophagus. It effectually barred any further progress until we could raise the lid. Then a decisive moment. None of us but felt the solemnity of the occasion. In a dead silence, the huge lid, weighing over 1.25 tons, was raised from its bed. Light shone into the sarcophagus. The contents were completely covered, by linen shrouds. But as the last shroud was rolled back, a gasp of wonderment escaped our lips. So gorgeous was the sight that met our eyes. A golden effigy of the young king of magnificent workmanship filled the whole of the interior. This was but the lid of a series of 3 coffins, nested one within the other, enclosing the mortal remains of the young King Tutankhamun.
Then there's the mask, which weighs about 24 pounds. It is gold and uses aragonite and obsidian for the eyes, and the eyeshadow and eyebrows are made of lapis lazuli. The back of the mask is chased with a series of spells and texts from the Book of the Dead. Then there are the pictures covering the walls of the tomb. These pictures tell a story, guiding him through the underworld and into the afterlife. The murals on the walls have been a source of debate, though, because many historians believe that they are purposely made large enough to cover the walls of the tomb quickly. One reason they think this is because other tombs in the Valley of the Kings have much more detailed paintings on the walls. The east wall tells of the funeral procession of King Tut. The paintings show King Tut being pulled on a sledge. The 12 people that are pulling the sledge are depicted wearing white sandals. These white sandals were something typically worn at holy or sacred ceremony. The west wall of the tomb depicts text from the Amduat, which was a royal funerary book that details the safe route for Tutankhamun through the underworld. The 12 different divisions in the book correspond to the 12 different hours of the night, which is shown on the wall with the 12 baboons that are depicted representing the 12 hours. The south wall is his arrival into the underworld. Tutankhamun is followed by Anubis as he appears before Nekhbet, patron goddess of Upper Egypt. She was one of the 2 ladies of the pharaoh whose job was to protect the pharaoh. Anubis and Nekhbet are both shown holding ongs, which is also known as Key of Life. Lastly, the north wall is his arrival into the afterlife. The wall is divided into 3 scenes, and there are 3 different images of King Tut. The first scene shows him as the embodiment of Horus, the son of Osiris, wearing the double crown. In the second scene, he is shown as Osiris, who is the father of all Egypt. Finally, in the third scene, he is depicted as his Ka statue. Something interesting about the tomb that came up recently is that people believe there could actually be 2 more undiscovered rooms, one on the north wall of the burial chamber and the other on the west wall. There was gritty material found on parts of the walls that matched that of a door that was opened by Howard Carter back in 1922, and scans have been done that reveal clear straight lines beneath the surface of the paint and plaster. The hidden doorways are just one of several clues that suggest the tomb might have originally been built for someone else, and Nicholas Reeves said that evidence suggests the room was once a corridor. King Tut's tomb is probably one of the more interesting tombs found in the Valley of the Kings because there are still things that are being debated, whether it's about the tomb or Tut himself. There's just so much mystery behind it, so many questions, things like the murals on the walls purposely made larger to cover them more quickly, and the possibility of hidden rooms. Overall, it doesn't matter what part of Egypt you're studying, there's always going to be something interesting to learn.